right, here we go. I'm going to start now. In 3,
my swearing budget for a year.
2.
Welcome to the weekly episode of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Your host, Steven, and co-hosts Mike, Devon, and JD are all set. Join us and tweet your questions at Freelancer Codex. Find us on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. Grab your javelins and let's drop in.
Drop in.
Welcome, freelancers, to episode 54 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, the longest running Anthem podcast on the internet. I'm your host, Steve, along with my co-host, Michael, Devon, and JD. And guys, it has been a fantastic week. It feels like it's been about 2 weeks since we recorded last for some reason. I don't know, because we talked so much about the interviews. We talked with William last week. It just seems like there's been a ton going on outside of my Anthem world, just because we haven't had a lot of Anthem information drop in the last week. Sometimes I feel like it's kind of like an embarrassment of riches when you get a PAX panel, you go through it, you feel like there's tons of information there. And since we devour things like so much, we pick it apart. Like after 2 weeks, you're kind of like, oh, okay, now I'm ready for some new stuff. So I guess that's just the weird predicament we put ourselves in doing an Anthem podcast, that we have to have all the information. I don't know. It's probably our fault that we feel this way. Anyway, guys, we always do this get to know you question. So today I want to know from you guys, this is a hard one because I know you guys have played a lot of games. There's a lot of your favorite games out there. I'm sure JD's game is going to include something from the BioWare library. But what is a game that you have completed 100%? Whether that's 100% achievements, whether that you collected all the items before achievements were a thing. I know some people are alive. They're like, there's always been achievements. Not so. Before achievements were going to the playground and telling your buddy that you beat, you got all the stars in Super Mario 64. So, Michael, starting with you, what is one game that you have 100%?
So the game that, and I, it wasn't just me on my own. My kids and I have 100% achieved Disney Infinity 1.0. So
you're gonna have to clarify for me, because in order to 100% this game, that means you had to buy every set. Is that what we're talking about?
No. These are just the achievements. A lot of them have to do with building. A lot of them are beating the initial play sets, and doing some things in the game, like painting Rex with the clown wig or something like that. So
stacking 4 players on top of each other.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Stacking 4 players. Just so going just from the achievement standpoint, Disney Infinity 1.0 with the help of my kiddos, and that actually kind of was the first game that me and my kids ever did together, and we 100%ed it. So it was pretty fun.
Nice.
Very neat.
JD, what is that game that you completed 100%?
Surprisingly, it's not something from BioWare. I got really close to 100%ing Mass Effect, but there were like two achievements that I never quite got.
How dare you call yourself a BioWare fan?
It would require me to like play through the game another like two times. And
just another 2 times?
I didn't want to do it. Just another 2 times. Just another like 40, 60 hours. But the game that I 100%ed was Armored Core Freelancer. It's a mech game. Really love it. You had to get like a double S or like S ranking on every one of the missions, including this one where you took on like 5 or 6 enemy mechs at once, and it took me several tries to get like S rankings on all of them. But it was a fun game. I really liked it.
Very cool. Devon, you've played games.
I've played lots of games, and yesterday when I was looking at this and thinking about it, I couldn't think of anything. And then as soon as we started, I remembered GoldenEye 64. Since JD brought up the Nintendo 64 earlier, and so I unlocked every cheat, they had like you beat a mission in a certain amount of time. I don't know if any of you've played this game.
I'm sure everyone's played this game. Wait, play.
Except for JD. JD's never played this game.
I get you. Nope. Never played GoldenEye, JD?
No, never have. I played only games I ever played on N64 were Star Fox and I think Turok and WWE.
I'm sorry for your childhood, JD.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. Just skip over.
But I worked really hard because I played that game like pretty much every day for couple years, and got all the cheat codes. I even actually got. I discovered before it became popular, they had button combos to unlock other cheats in the game, and I actually took a picture and sent it off to Rare. They had the paintball mode, remember paintball mode, but
Oh yeah.
I was messing around with the buttons, doing button combos in the cheat menu, doing stuff, and I unlocked another paintball mode, but it was like rectangles with stripes. It was like the weirdest crap ever, and you could turn it off and on. And so instead of the regular paintball splash, it was a rectangle. And I took it with the Polaroid of the TV, and I'm like, it kind of comes out, and then I mailed it to him. I was like, what did I don't know how I did this, but this, and it was like years later when I figured out, it's button combinations.
Did you get anything back from them?
No.
Oh, man.
No, they went under, and then Microsoft bought them, and they started making other games. No, so I'm guessing with the Polaroid, you took a picture of your CRT screen. The flash really blanked it all out.
Yeah.
I didn't even read this. Who even knows what this is? So
some kid sent us a weird Polaroid.
That's funny.
I'm surprised one of your answers does not include a Halo game. You've never 100%ed a Halo game?
Before achievements, I mean, if you could consider like Halo CE, I completed on Legendary Solo.
Well, I guess they didn't have skulls back then. So
no, they had skulls, but I mean, you had in CE you had to pick them up, and then in Halo 2 they had the skulls where you could turn them on. But yeah, I mean, I've completed. I think up except for Halo 5, I've completed every one of them on Legendary Solo. So
the achievement sometimes with all that multiplayer stuff gets kind of hard and pretty boring. So. All right, games that I've completed.
But isn't that the point of them, to go through them and do these obscure kind of things just to say that you did it?
Like I've done the ones before they have DLC, like for Halo 2 and Halo 3, because they just keep expanding the achievements when they put out DLC. So
yeah, and sometimes they have get a sniper kill while you're falling through the air from a Banshee, and then after you kill someone, hijack a Banshee, stupid stuff that it's very rare that anyone gets.
That only Devon can do. Snipe people out of the air.
Yeah.
I'm
They're
not
on your
very good
team.
at that.
All right, stuff that I've done. I've completed Diablo 3. I got 100% achievements on the Xbox. Yeah. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. 100% of that. Ocarina of Time. 100% of that. Link's Awakening. Final Fantasy 6. Super Mario 64. Super Mario. Those are games that I completed 100% back in the day when I had lots of time to play video games. So, all right, moving on. Guys, we have a couple things to announce. First of all, we have a pin to give away, and this is a Ranger pin, right? If I'm not mistaken, the last of the Ranger pins, or it's an Interceptor pin?
Interceptor.
All right, the last of the Interceptor pins. All you lucky listeners had to do was go to our YouTube video and tell us about your favorite faction. So,
well,
Devon
no, it was which agent you wanted to work with first.
Oh, agent, sorry. So Devon is going to announce who the winner is, and we will congratulate the winner. Devon, Mike, drum roll.
Let me scroll through all the responses. All right, we got a winner here. Derek Schudy. I think that's how you pronounce your last name. Schudy, Schudy. Schudy, right? Is that what you guys think?
Close enough to me, yeah.
All right, so Derek, you won. So this is yours. You just let us know your address, and we'll send it right to you.
All right, very cool. And that is, for now, that is the last of our giveaways. I think we're going to put something together. We'll start brainstorming things we want to give away, whether it's a poster, whether it's a print of something. We'll figure something out for our next couple of giveaways, but pretty exciting. So, guys, this is episode 54 of the longest running Anthem podcast, where we talk about all things Anthem related. Getting into a couple things first. Mike Gamble, Ben Irving have been talking to each other on Twitter. I mean, they're at the same office. They could talk to each other in the office, but they do that on Twitter for our benefit, so everyone can see that they're communicating with people. And Mike Gamble put out this tweet that got a lot of people kind of in an uproar. He says, I think Ben Irving and I should do a live stream or something. We could, play the game together. So these guys, they were joking around with each other, just talking about things. They obviously can't show too much right now, or else they would have been doing it. But this created a couple of Reddit threads on the Anthem subreddit of people kind of being upset that they called this a big tease, right? That you're just teasing us. You're just dangling this carrot out that we can't reach. And there were a few people that were really upset about it. What what do you guys feel? Did you feel upset about this tweet, or was this just business as usual right now? They're going to be talking about playing the game. We're not going to be able to see anything else until their next big release. How do you guys feel about them talking like this? I guess.
I think it was just silly banter, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It's rough. I mean, you're looking at Twitter, they have to keep explaining themselves like, oh, I was just joking. I mean, on one hand, they have to know, okay, people are going to be like paying close attention to what they're saying. But on the other hand, they can't be, like they can't force people to read. I mean, because obviously people can't read, the full comment section.
Because people
of a
can't
thread.
read.
And it's just like, oh, what'd you say? And it's like, no, I was just joking. Did you? It's like, look at the thread. It's like, come on. But I just thought it was funny, and I replied to it. It was pretty funny. I just said, do it.
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
It would
Good
be cool
response.
if you did. I mean, sometimes context is lost on Twitter.
Yep.
Like you
Really?
said.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is. It's really
That
weird.
usually never happens.
Body language is gone. All that kind of stuff is gone. So I mean, it's hard.
Wow.
Like I'm sure these guys would love to actually be able to play the game and stream it for everyone, because that would get more hype for a lot of people. But right now they're just not in a spot that they could do that. Because imagine if they start streaming now, everything that's going to get cut or changed from the game there'd be a huge uproar if
Yep.
they've got a weapon that does X and then when the game releases it does Y because of some other reason. JD, do you have what would you say to these guys if you're like, do you want them to keep tweeting or do you want them to just stop and cut out all the confusion and maybe the anger will just kind of, that expectation, I guess, would go away? What do you think?
I mean, I think the teasing can definitely be fun. It shows that the developers have a sense of humor to an extent. However, I do think that there are times when community frustration or something else, kind of rears its ugly head, and you want to give people a straight answer. Especially in something like this where it's like, okay, are we teasing that we're going to do it, or are we actually saying that we're going to do it? And I can understand how this one is particularly frustrating for people, because honestly, if that was just a joke, just say it's a joke. But the whole thing is there's a lot of people who are looking forward to Anthem, and they want to know when we can look forward to the next bit of information, or potentially new information, or new gameplay, or anything really. And
Yeah. And unfortunately, we live in a time where if someone puts out a joke tweet, it's automatically captured, uploaded to Reddit, and there's a billion comments on it that don't have any of that context, and a lot of that gets lost. But you're right. I would, they've got good senses of humor, and I would expect that this is kind of a way to, kind of let it out by talking with fans. Where it seems like right now, Twitter is the place that BioWare is talking to everyone. They're not really doing it on their website. They're doing it maybe once a month with a little blog post. But really, Twitter is the place that they're doing it. I haven't been on their Facebook page. I don't use Facebook. I don't know if you guys use Facebook a lot to have seen like the BioWare Facebook page, if they're putting stuff there or not. Are they communicating with fans there?
I haven't been on the
They don't
Facebook
do much
page.
on there. They post a few things, but
So then, I mean, that's it. So that's the place where we're getting. There's some devs on the Anthem Discord where they're talking a lot. Brendan Holmes was answering a bunch of questions today, not really about specific things, a lot about things that have changed. Probably things that they can talk about, like hitbox detection, frames that they were using on their models. That as some technical details that doesn't really tell us, what they're doing, what the game is looking at now. So, I mean, even that kind of conversation, I think, goes a long way with the fans, just that level of communication. But one thing that we did learn about that made Devon really happy, Brendan Holmes did say on the Discord that he confirmed there is player collision. It's not something super crazy where you can punch someone across the map, but it is, he said there's player nudging, essentially. So one thing that he likes to do while they're in meetings is nudge people off of platforms or off of ledges while they're talking during the meeting. So, I mean, this is something that should make us all excited, because I think this is something that we all wanted. Like, being able to mess with other players like this, I mean, this is fantastic, right? I mean,
I think it's kind of cool that it speaks a little bit to what their meetings are made up of. So, like, do you imagine everybody around like a conference table with their own controller and like watching the game up there, and they're like, and our quarterly reports are.
Well, I don't know about that kind of meeting, but
But
it
I'm sure
they're
they're
just-
it
they're
kind of
going
paints
over.
a picture.
All right, here's the features. Here's what we got going in. What do you guys think about this? Is this working out? And then while he's talking, Brendan still got the controller, and he's like, "See ya."
I think I like Mike's version better, where everyone in the room has VR headsets on. So when someone's up talking, another dev is like just pushing someone out, and that's where they actually meet. They meet in Fort Tarsus, and that's where they have their meeting.
meet in Fort Tarsus.
We meet in Fort Tarsus.
You meet in first person. You got your VR headset on, and that's really what they should
Real
be
life
showing.
is overrated.
When it talks about those
VR
seedy
business
characters
meetings,
of Fort Tarsus, that's who they're talking about. Ben
And that's
Ervo
what they
pushing people off.
It's probably been pushing everyone off. Probably been in Mike. Those guys, man. Don't at
No
me.
doubt.
Okay, so I'm excited for that because it's little stuff like that it's not a huge detail, but being able to run into someone, you're not just like floating through them, which would break the immersion. So I'm glad that that's something that they've confirmed, or something at least that they're still playing with. So the other bit of news that we have is Sony is going to be showing an Anthem trailer at the Tokyo Game Show. It doesn't say if that is a new trailer. It doesn't say really any other information other than that. Sony has a lineup of like 1 billion games on there, so I don't know if they're just gonna put it in a what do they call it, like a B-roll, and just burn through all these things like Microsoft does during E3. But that'll be interesting to see. Maybe we'll get something new. I'm not crossing my fingers or holding my breath at all for that, because I just don't think it's time. I think they would make a bigger deal about it, saying, hey, check us out at Tokyo Game Show for new gameplay or new story information.
That
But
plus,
because
I think that Sony doesn't have the marketing. The marketing is questionable. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like-
this could be something. These are things that are being released in 2019 from now until the end of the next quarter or whatever.
Well, say, I mean, 2017, it seemed like Microsoft had for sure locked up the marketing, but Microsoft doesn't lock up marketing the same way Sony does, where like the developer can't even talk about the other console. Sony's like, you don't talk about those other things, don't exist until the game comes out. Whereas
It is
Microsoft's
Sony
like,
all the time.
yeah, we have the marketing, but we're going to go ahead and let them do interviews on Sony shows, let them show trailers, and I'm just like, go for the throat if you're going to pay all that money. If you're paying money.
And we don't know how much money that is. Microsoft has gone through a big change from, when they were on top during the 360 era to where they are now, trying to get back with all the other things that they're doing, going cross-play with Nintendo. So, it's definitely a different Microsoft than we have seen, and it's a different Sony than we have seen. So
It just goes back and forth. When you're on top, you get arrogant. When you're winning, they get arrogant, and they're like.
And then PC players are like, whatever, we get the game a week early, so I don't care what you're showing it. We're going to be playing it a week before you guys, which is kind of interesting. So it'll be exciting to see if there's something new. Yeah, not holding my breath, but we'll see if it happens. All right. So now to get into the meat and potatoes of what we really want to talk about today. So we're going to take a deep dive into the Our World, Your Story trailer. We've broken this down. We're gonna explain everything as best we can for our audio listeners. We have some pictures that we'll be showing for our video listeners on YouTube. So I'm gonna switch over my camera so you don't have to see my ugly face to all these.
Woohoo!
Listen to the video. Okay, listen to it.
Listen to the video and watch the audio.
Listen to this. Is that what I said?
Yes.
That's not what I said.
All our video listeners.
I would not say that. All of our
We'll
audio
play back the
listeners-
tape. It's there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now
it
I'll
is there.
just edit it out. So first thing that
Never
we
mind.
want to cover, guys, this is a shot. We get a shot of Fort Tarsus. If you want to play this video, this is at the 6-second mark. And it goes. We're gonna go frame by frame. Well, not frame by frame, but we're gonna go from each scene
Bit by bit, piece by piece.
The first thing we see is this magnificent shot of Fort Tarsus. We've got the sun over there on the right. We have Fort Tarsus. We've got waterfalls on the left, big giant water pipes coming out of the front part of the walls. And then we've all seen there's a pretty iconic shot or piece of architecture in the fort, which is this giant cage-like tower. There's nothing. It's almost like it resembles the Eiffel Tower a little bit, just in its structure. That there's nothing inside of it. It's a bunch of looking ironwork that goes into this. And my thought as I was looking at this, do you guys think like this bird cage, that's what I'm going to call it, spire structure is used for anything?
Nah. No, it's an architectural choice. The architect was like, I got to build something. I'm gonna build this.
It's a beacon of hope. All right, Stephen.
The beacons of Minas Tirith are lit.
You can see this from away and know there's safety.
Okay, maybe I'll buy that. I don't know if it has any functional other than this is what it looks like. Top of a cathedral kind of thing.
You guys, because I mean, you get something built like big and tall like this, and you have things like shaper storms coming through. I mean, I don't know if it's structurally sound or if the storm blows it over. My thought was, I don't know, maybe it's like a conduit for energy, a receptacle for that gathers the power of the anthem. Because I think we've seen a couple amplifier chairs in the fort when Owen is in it, and there's a bunch of other people around. I mean, maybe this is how they collect the power that actually powers the fort. I haven't seen any of those big giant shaper extension cords plugged in anywhere in Fort Tarsus, so not too sure about that. JD, you have any speculation or hypothesis? Is that what it is? Hypothesis?
Hypotheses?
Hypotheses would be correct. I mean, I agree that it might be somewhat connected to the amplification system for the ciphers. Also, it could have something to do with something that was originally planned to be built, but after like the freelancers fell from glory, or whatever happened at a certain point, maybe it's just an unfinished part of Fort Tarsus.
People stop paying their taxes.
It does look like a skeleton of something bigger, so maybe just like they just stopped in the middle of it. But as it stands right now, based off context and everything else we have, I'm going to say it's part of the amplification system for ciphers.
All right, very cool. So moving on, we are going to move on. It's a very clear sky. I mean, if you look at that clouds, do you think they actually took video of actual skyscapes like they did in Forza Horizon, so they can put like clouds and stuff up there? Or do you think that's all modeled or just painted?
Could be part of that part.
Could be a little bit of both, maybe. Yeah. Could be a little bit of both. You got to get inspiration from something.
I mean, those clouds are finely detailed clouds. I like it. All right, moving on, guys. We see a giant extension cord. This is the shot that we've seen a couple times. I think back from the very first trailer that we saw, where it looks like there's a giant shaper extension cord going up these mountains, and in the background we have two planets. I don't know if these are moons or
they're moons. They answered it in the Ask Me in that first one. They asked me almost didn't think about Anthem.
I think John called them moons. So my thought as we were thinking about these. Because we don't really see the moons in any other skyscape that we're looking at. Like when we jump off the fort, we don't see them there. We only really see them in this one shot. So with a planet that has, multiple other bodies around it, whether these are actually orbiting our planet, whether they're, how close we are to the sun that is on this planet. My thought was, since everything is going to really be based in science fantasy, as they call it, do you think the proximity to these to the moons are what caused the rip stream? Because they're something so close. Our moon on our planet affects tides and whatever, all that science stuff that I never paid attention to. Do you think this is a possibility at least?
No.
Mike's gonna just shoot down.
No, I mean not everything. It just seems like that would be too complicated for what we've learned, everything that the game is doing for now. I think it's cool visuals, but I don't think that we're gonna get differing like seasons or tides or pools or world events based on the astronomy.
Because that was another thought that I had. I mean, this would be something that, just by moving a planet or one of the other two planets, it could change the season. And that would be a good way to like say, hey, these are where the planets are. This is the season that it is now. Instead of just changing things. Oh, it's cold now. I mean, you would have to really reflect that in, why is it cold now? Because the planet's rotating? Is it like a fixed rotation? I don't know. That was just one of the thoughts.
More of it being like a visual indication of like what to expect, or.
Yeah, and then you could say, the rip stream, you can't fly higher because of solar winds that are coming off of these moons, and it's just going to knock you down. I don't know. That was just a thought that I had as I was looking at this. Like I said before, we haven't had a lot of new information, so we just go in, we speculate, and we pick these things apart. So, any other comments before? Am I just going to move on? Yeah.
We can just move on.
All right, just moving on. Devon doesn't care at all about the planet. So the next thing we have, we get a shot. I don't know what this is. I think this is a Shaper Storm in these old ruins. It looks like there's, again, in the background, we see a giant Shaper extension cord being broken apart. We see a bunch of rings that we have seen before. It looks like there's other architecture just being completely destroyed by what looks like a Shaper Storm. We've got lava flowing through the middle of this shot. Looks like just complete destruction. And it looks like the way it was animated, this looks like somewhere where we can go. This didn't look like a cinematic scene at all. This looked like it was an in-game footage. So we've talked about lava before. We've talked about environmental effects. Looks like, this is a good example of what that could potentially be.
No.
No. No, I believe it was confirmed by media that this was from a Shaper Storm. So, go ahead.
Okay.
Mike.
Sorry, Steve. Did you throw off your headset? He's like,
No,
I'm
I
out of
didn't.
here. No, yeah,
Good.
that definitely looks like a Shaper Storm. The construction, I'm not sure, or the architecture. I mean, it could be because remember the first trailer we saw, we were flying through the rings when we jumped off of the fort. So this would be EA or E3 2017,
Yep.
and we were flying through the rings. So that could be those rings. And the Shaper, again, obviously the Shaper Storm. I don't know if it maybe triggered a volcano or if the Shaper Storm brought the lava, but I mean, it's cool looking. And those long pieces could be the tower we saw in the first clip that we looked at.
So we're foreshadowing that the tower that Fort Tarsus gets destroyed by a Shaper Storm.
I don't know. Maybe you know what? Maybe those structures, like JD was speculating, have they're used in the world, and so there's probably more than one of them. So this could be an old version. This could be like Com Station 1, and Fort Tarsus is like Com Station 12 or something, and we come across this through a Shaper Storm. What are the chairs called again? The
amplifier chairs.
The amplifier chairs. Maybe this is the housing for the amplifier chairs, and that's the top, and this one got destroyed.
I think one of the things that's not too far-fetched is that if we have people that can teleport and talk to each other, telepathically, that visions of the future probably isn't something that's off the table. So, hey, here's a vision of the future of Fort Tarsus getting destroyed. So, not gonna rule it out. That's for sure.
I mean, looking at this picture, and then I was glancing at my own background here, and you see the rings here. I don't know why it brings it up to me, but looking at it, we know that the Shapers created the planet. We know that the Shapers, basically, their technology created everything, and then they just bounced. The thing is, looking at this, and this is the wake of a Shaper Storm. If the Shaper Storm destroyed this stuff, or if it was in the process of making it, and because the technology is malfunctioning and it left this behind unfinished, maybe that's an explanation for all of these random rings being around, that the Shaper Storms are just malfunctioning and not finishing what they're starting. I have no idea. Maybe terraforming a planet, using technology to process its raw materials into structures or whatever. I mean, just because they call them their gods doesn't mean that they didn't make the planet for some kind of reason. I mean, you never know. It could be something simple, these guys basically terraformed an entire planet and a bunch of to foster raw materials to create devices that they could use elsewhere, and then once they had that, they just took them and left. Like a manufacturing plant, but on a planet-wide scale.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our next shot here. So, Devon, you threw this one in here, so you get to tell me why you threw this one in here.
Oh, I just put this in here because I like the way the Ranger looks.
Oh, okay. Everyone just get a good look at the Ranger now.
Get a good look at that paint job, that iridescent paint job that I talked about.
Oh, you mean those camera angles?
No, the
and
one where
shading.
Yeah, where
and shadows.
It's just shadows. No, it's not.
Just shadows. All right, moving on.
So moving on. I mean, the textures do look pretty amazing on the Ranger, and
they do. Move it along.
Okay.
There we go. Next one.
You can just look at
Yep.
that ranger, Mike.
Look at that
All right,
ranger.
we're moving on.
Is
Okay,
salty
moving on.
There
Mike
we go.
turning?
Since Mike
There
really
we
does
go.
not want us to talk about the ranger for some reason.
Don't.
Jealous.
So we get another shot of this is another platform where our 4 heroes are jumping off of the Fort Tarsus. This is a different platform from the EA from E3 Reveal 2017. So it looks like this is lower down on the fort. That first one that we saw from 2017 was almost at the top of the fort, it looks like, where all the guns are placed. This looks like it's one level down. So there's going to be multiple places that we can jump from. I don't know what benefit that would give you, whether it's just one side of the fort compared to the other side of the fort. But there are going to be multiple takeoff locations. So,
Well, we think, right?
Yeah, from what they've shown,
Because it would
anyways.
make sense. Because it would make sense, right? You don't want to jump off. You know, if I have to go south versus north, I don't want to jump off the north.
Yeah, or
So-
east and west. And
Yeah. So I mean, this, and you know what? This might not even be Fort Tarsus. This could be a different jumping off point.
that's very
This
true.
could be yeah.
There's nothing saying that this has to be Fort Tarsus. The interesting thing is, depending on where this is, there's not a gun. What do you call it? Gun emplacement? That's not
Yep.
the right word.
yeah,
There's
A
not
turret. Well, not that we can see anyway.
Right, not that we can see. The other
Not that
ones
we can
before
see.
when they jumped off, they had, there was guns right up out front. But
Yeah.
maybe this is just a side of the fort that doesn't need to be as heavily defended from air, from flying creatures. Like
Right.
the other side has. The other side had multiple guns, so there's probably some big creatures that they need to take down. I mean, the Wyvern probably isn't big enough to warrant, multiple gun emplacements. But so this is
But 200 of them might.
200 might. I really like the idea of like this is where you meet up as a team and this is where you jump off. I just like that visual of grouping up and either just walking off, flying, or just blasting off. I think it's a really cool way to start a mission.
Or
It's-
Devon nudging us off.
yeah, or this is where you get nudged off the platform. Luckily, you can fly, so getting nudged off doesn't matter too much. But
when
I
you're
just
not
like
paying
that.
attention, you're just gonna go.
So if you're falling, can you start your flight?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would assume so.
Well, yeah, but we've never seen it.
Maybe
We
not.
don't
Yeah,
see
right.
someone falling and then
They're
taking
flying.
off. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's a systems thing.
You
That
just
would-
automatically start flying when you fall.
Or you or you automatically start falling when you fly.
No, I think I'm guessing it's not automatic. I think when they talked about it, now that I'm remembering, it's just one you push in on the right thumbstick or something, and that starts you flying. So you can fall and
You
not
can fall.
automatically take off. I mean, you can jump. So we saw in 2017 the Colossus jumping like 1 billion feet in the air and then landing without, taking flight. So you have that ability to control when you start flying or when you don't. So if someone pushes you off and they're not paying attention, they probably will fall to their death. So
Unless you catch it in time, maybe.
right. Well, of course, unless you catch it in time. So
Yeah, maybe.
if you hit the floor, you'll probably die. JD, you
Most
had a
likely.
comment. Maybe.
It's kind of a dumber comment, even for me. But I look at all of
saying
the.
something, JD. That's saying something, man.
I mean, look, the only way we're gonna know is if I say it. So we gonna say it.
Fair enough.
Like I love all these jump off points, and it makes sense that that there are multiple exits from Fort Tarsus. But I'm not gonna lie, after years of watching Gundam and stuff like that, I want to shoot our javelins out of a cannon, like straight into the wilderness. I know any of our listeners that watch any kind of like mech anime or Gundam anime know what I'm talking about, where they just load the suits in the mobile suits in the cannon on these like platforms, and the platforms just shoot up the cannon and they just like basically launch you off. Like I would love to see that in Anthem. I feel like it'd be a blast, literally.
Oh, I see what you did there. It's a pun.
So you mean like in Sea of Thieves, where you climb into a cannon and shoot yourself to an island?
It's not the same thing, and I refuse to say good things about that game.
No, it's pretty much the same.
It's exactly the same thing.
It's exactly the same.
What is Roblox?
I also think
What is
I also
Roblox?
think
What is
Wile E.
Pirates?
Coyote did it a few times to
It's not as
differing
cool,
levels
okay?
of success.
Never
Not
worked,
as cool.
but he did it. All right. Moving on.
Moving
All right,
on.
then we get this shot of flying up the waterfall. Now that you can't really see a ton of this, but this is the first time we've seen, this waterfall scene wherever this is in the game. Our characters are flying up it. Looks like a little tunnel. So there's got to be some hidden treasure somewhere in this waterfall. If there's not, the game gets like a 1 out of 10. So there's got to be something in there. You're not going to overheat while you're flying up this waterfall. I'm guessing something like this is probably at the end of a cool stronghold. This is the way you get out. But I mean, I guess if it's open world, if the exit is just open, that might not make any sense. So I don't know. I just really like this shot. They're showing a couple different environments, being able to go under the water, the dynamics of the world, being able to cool your jets while you're flying up. So very cool scene that we got here. That's what we got up the waterfall. Anything else on the waterfall? Or are we just going to pass by this waterfall? Don't go chasing them. That's all I got to say. Moving on. Okay, there's lots to unpack this next shot. This is what we have. This is our first third-person view as the Interceptor. We are in front of a legendary Ash Titan, which is new. We've seen a normal Ash Titan before, but this time we have a legendary Ash Titan. We're flying along with a companion, Terry Jeffords. I don't know who that is. That's just whoever we're flying with. So a couple things to talk about here. I will let you break this down first, what we're seeing in this image with this Interceptor flying right at this Ash Titan.
So Terry Jeffords, if you've never watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, is Terry Crews's character.
I've never watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah. So, but anyways, this is the name of a character from the TV show. Okay. But yeah, so what you're looking at here, if you look, you get the legendary, like Steven was talking about, has the skull above its name. So, which is interesting because later we'll see a more than regular character that does not have a skull above its name. So, I don't know if they're playing with that, obviously. Then if you look at the user interface, this is the most current one that they've talked about because the ultimate is up on the D-pad instead of left and right bumper. So, there's also just a single weapon showing. A lot of people, some places like IGN were like, oh, maybe because you're looking at the perspective from the Interceptor, you only have that one weapon. But I don't believe that's true. If you actually look close, on the user interface, you can kind of see another weapon behind it. But I don't know if that's just shadowing from the way they want it to look. But the same effect happens later on when the Ranger's on the screen, and we already know a Ranger has multiple weapons. And so I'm just guessing it's there to condense the user interface, and when you switch your weapon, it'll show the weapon that you have equipped. So,
yeah, I'm guessing that's exactly it. I think there's another shot where you can see the weapon halfway on top of your primary weapon. Mm-hmm. So I think these are things that they're just trying to see what feels better. Yeah. But yeah, you can definitely see the other weapon behind this weapon. The Interceptor has 3 of the same icons under, it looks like its abilities. Its melee attack has like a lightning icon. I'm guessing those are just placeholders for the Interceptor. They're
it's
just
all
there
lightning.
For now. And it could very well be all lightning. I mean, I think the Colossus actually has a fist for its melee attack. So I don't know why this one wouldn't have a fist showing showing a fist as a melee attack is kind of universal, right? This is the button you push to punch something. So I don't know why it would show an electrical thing here. But
yeah,
placeholder.
Yeah, I think it's all placeholder. A couple other things I want to talk about in this shot. Pushing up on the D-pad for your ultimate, I think that's bad button placement.
I think it's very contrary to what everyone has done for the longest time.
Because you have to take your thumb off the stick.
Yep.
And if you're moving unless this one doesn't have a mobile ultimate, or you just activate it, I mean, it's kind of like taking your thumb off the stick while you're moving in an encounter seems kind of like not the best thing to do, especially if you need to aim.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a huge fan of that. I would rather it be pushed down on, well, if you have it as a left stick, push down on the left stick, you'll be accidentally pushing that thing all the time. But yeah, it seems like the left-right bumper, your fingers are there already anyway. It's a quick activation, and you're being able to aim and move at the same time of doing that. So I'm not a huge fan of having it on the D-pad at all. Yeah. I don't know if you guys feel as strongly about that as I do, but I do not want it tied to the D-pad.
Yeah, I preferred it the other way when it was, both left and right bumper. So
I agree.
JD, do you have a preference?
Honestly, I'm gonna wait and hold judgment for when we actually get our hands on to play it. I mean, it might feel different. I know that usually, you usually have ultimates on both bumpers at once or both triggers at once or something like that. However, it having it just be like a single button, it could work, but like I said, it really depends on how it actually plays when we get our hands on it.
And one of the big things is really going to depend on what kind of D-pad you have. You go to throw down an emote or something, and you push right on the D-pad, and you accidentally push up just because of either the size or third-party controller that you have, and you accidentally pop your super. That's not going to feel great. So, like, not a huge fan. Like, picking up a controller now, it's like I don't like this idea at all. So
there was an interesting thing also, since we're talking about the Ultimate. Mark Dare on Twitter, because he continues to get asked about changing your ultimate, because right now there's only one ultimate per javelin and you can't change that.
Right.
But he compared the ultimate to like changing a piece of gear. He's like, you only have one at launch, but afterwards, I can't say, but it's just like changing a piece of gear. Or it's comparable to changing a piece of gear. So. Interesting.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I'm guessing maybe later on. I think when we talked to Ben, he talked about I think it was Ben talking about maybe changing the status effect on supers from whatever status they have now to something different. So, and before we move on from this, they have a mission up on this slide that says it's the Lost Arcanist, and we're supposed to locate Matthias. So I'm guessing this is one of the very early missions that we are going through. To unlock stuff, to bring the whole team together into the fort. So this is something that I think
it can't be too early, can it? If we have the interceptor.
Well, I think they said you'll be able to start unlocking javelins fairly early, and if you can do that in any order, maybe whoever's playing now, they went and got the interceptor first.
Yeah, they said it's still being tuned, but like right now it's going back and forth between 1 and 2 missions. So.
Oh, seriously, that soon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Not to mention that it could just be playtesting where they're just playtesting with all javelins, because you may not unlock it that early doesn't mean that you might not be playing with somebody who's already gone through the mission to unlock it and is helping you out in an earlier mission. So
yeah. So one more thing on the UI, I think that the ammo count number is way too big, but that's just me. All right,
that is what they said.
That is what they said. So then we got an up close shot of the Ash Titan. This Ash Titan, we have not seen this attack before, but this Ash Titan actually brings up a pillar of lava from the ground.
Yeah.
The last Ash Titan we saw had its crotch open up and shoot a giant beam.
It was its chest, not the crotch.
But this one,
even if you would like it to be from the crotch, Steven, that's something you got to work out. But
he does kind of keep going back to that, doesn't he?
It's kind of like right there in my mind. Yeah, you can't unsee it. So this Ash Titan actually brings up a pillar of lava from the ground. So it's going to be like Moses throwing pillars of lava everywhere. But not that Moses did that. But,
I don't remember Moses doing that.
I don't remember that in the Old Testament.
Yeah. So the interceptor actually flies with its arms out. I thought Devon would really enjoy this because this is like anime is all get out, right? Running around.
Oh, yeah.
Out, so there you go. You got that. All right. So moving on, the next shot we have a giant wyvern shooting a column of fire at our Colossus down here. Not much to see here. It happened so fast. It's very blurry. I couldn't get a real good shot of it being shown. But one of the cool things that I did like about this, that as the fire passes over the Colossus, there is some heat blur. I don't know what the technical term for that is called. There's that warpage that comes down when something's really hot. And that happens actually around the Colossus. So that's a really cool effect that I liked, attention to that detail. So that is all I had for there. Did you guys have anything you wanted to talk about wyverns? You guys all down for the wyverns?
The effects look amazing. Everything like I've talked about many times before. The game looks gorgeous. So
mech suits versus wyverns or draconic enemies.
Oh my.
Super rad.
All right, moving on. We are now looking at the Storm. This is the first time this is the first time we're seeing the perspective of the Storm fighting an elite Ursix. So this is the giant bear creature, the space bear that we have. And you can see in this video, there's a mission going on. It's investigate the source of the Shaper energy. You're supposed to collect a couple fragments. Our Storm hasn't collected any. It's been slacking. Or It just happened that there's this elite Ursix that showed up this time when it wasn't supposed to, and it was unexpected. So we've got this elite Ursix. Our Storm looks like he has a handgun, two-handed handgun that they're firing at it.
Yep.
And the UI is also different in here. So this is where I talked about. It looks like there's two weapons for the Storm. One of them is hidden behind, and there also looks to be some other shadowing in there. So it's very hard to say like what UI that they're going with or what they're using, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of consistency across it so far.
Just testing what works. And you can see the ultimate bar down at the bottom is not hooked up to left and right bumper because that placeholder lightning ability is in there. And the lightning is a different direction than it was before on the Interceptor. The Interceptor was closer together and going up, vertical, and then this is still vertical, but it's going down, right? So
yeah, and we've got some icons overlapping, so it's obviously nothing that's been finalized. But this one, I actually, first looking at this, I thought that the Storm did not have its cape on just because it was blended into the background. But Devon pointed out that, it's just flapping around over on that side. So that'll be interesting to have. And this is also different armor than we've seen on the Storm. Looks like this is very gold-looking armor. I think we've seen it a lot in white armor, so it'll be interesting to see. And like you said, Devon, before, this Ursix does not have a skull on its name tag, its nameplate either.
Usually the elites have had that skull with the single points coming out the side. So,
All right, moving on. We have a giant face statue. We've talked a little about this before. What do you guys think? Shaper, human, Scar, Dominion?
Design choice and architecture.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it all looks cool and it all looks great and it looks like it should fit in a jungle ruin setting. That's probably why it's there.
Come on, Mike, this should be like your thing. This is like Frodo and Sam taking across, seeing the statue of the king just out there in the middle of nowhere, and be like, "That was a king at one time, right? That wasn't just
that was a king at one time." You're correct, but it's funny. It's funny because I'm kind of far out on this picture, looking at it on your screen, and it looked like a monkey skull. Just the way the shadows are falling. Anyway, that's just what I thought of. I really, as much as we probably want this to be something, I bet it's nothing.
Oh, come on. You don't make a giant statue and just make it's nothing.
Easter Island heads.
Yeah, that was nothing.
Those are important. Now, so the armor kind of reminds me later we're going to be showing when the Interceptor is fighting something. And when I was going through the shots, it looked like you'll see him here later, that whatever it's fighting has some kind of armor on that kind of looks similar to that chest piece, but I don't know, it just kind of gave me the same vibe as
maybe
that creature.
Maybe this is like on the way to the Fortress of Dawn, and that's like General Helen Tarsis. She was pretty manly, maybe? I don't know.
Could be.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's nothing, but we'll see. I could be wrong. I hope I am.
I hope you're wrong too. You're probably wrong. All right. Devon, you put in this picture of our squad here. We got the 4 javelins all huddled together. The Storm has a different chest piece than we have seen before. It also has a couple different pieces of armor on it. So
yeah. So a couple things. I liked the slots on the Interceptor's helmet there. If you're looking directly down on it, I thought those were interesting.
Those are that's the air intake. So as it's flying super fast, you get the air down.
AC in there. So also different forearms and legs for the Ranger. Mark Dare talked about this when they were talking about paint jobs and things like that. Asking, can you do individual arms and legs? And he said he believed that both the arms and legs are tied together. So when you're changing the paint scheme or whatever, it's going to affect both sides. And so you can see it's got the white, instead of just the iridescent paint job like normal. So
right on that. Colossus is exactly the same as we've seen it, and it has not changed. I think the helmet has changed. Before in 2017, that helmet plate was completely closed, and now it's open so it can see out. So that's the only thing that I think we have seen.
It's closed? I don't know if it was closed. I'm not sure.
Yeah, on the 2017, it is closed.
There's no red bar in there?
It might have been.
The red bar was always there, but then there's the plate that goes over the helmet, the extra kind of buffer.
Yeah, the metal hood that goes over the smaller head inside, which I still think is hilarious.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. That's why I like the white Colossus. It's got the big giant glass ball head. Looks way better than I think this one does. So.
I do like them glass ball heads.
Yeah, that's right. That's Helic's helmet in there. So
Yep.
okay.
Quit trying to connect everything.
Speaking of Helic, okay, how does he die? Because he dies, right? He's gonna die before the game is over.
Die.
He is gonna die.
No. He's gonna die. I'm gonna shoot him.
No, you take every mentor character in any game, any movie, any book. That person dies. Okay,
Gandalf came back.
Dumbledore, whether it's
Dumbledore came back.
No, he didn't. Dumbledore died. Whether it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, whether it's
spoiler, dude.
Yeah. So I'm just saying. Oh, if you haven't seen Star Wars from like the 70s, I'm sorry. Spoiler alert.
But they all come back. Force Ghost.
They might come back.
Yoda came back. Just saying.
I'm saying Halleck dies before the end of the game. That's all I'm saying.
I don't believe.
I bet it's your Strider gets attacked, and he has to pilot it, and he sacrifices himself so that everybody else can escape.
And then his spirit possesses one javelin, and it becomes one with the earth, and thus the wooden javelin is born.
No, that's not how we get the wooden javelin. Don't be tainting my wooden javelin origin story.
We're moving on. Devon, we have a shot of the Ranger fighting some Defilers. You put this in here because you like Defilers?
No, I put it in there because it looks like they're like lava digesters, by the way, and not Defilers.
Reading's hard.
But yeah, no, it looks like they're just coming out of the lava, So interesting choice of word there, Steven. But
what do you mean they're not Defilers?
They're digesters.
No, the other ones are digesters.
No, those ones have the two. It's a digester.
Okay, we're moving on. Okay, this I like to call micro missile management. So we have a shot of the Ranger.
The ultimate.
Right, micro missile management. What did I say?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I don't speak Spanish.
Right. Okay, you don't speak Spanish. That's fine with me. Okay, so we have a shot of the Ranger. He's using his ultimate or her ultimate. It's probably her. It's probably Jen in there. Jen, congratulations on your promotion to a producer. We'll have to get you on the show so we can get all the producers on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this Ranger fighting a bunch of Scars. We are actually, in fact, in the Temple of Scar. That's the name of this mission, the Temple of Scar, or that's either the location. And the person that we're supposed to find, we're supposed to locate Skelios. Scelos. That's how I'm going to pronounce that. Skelios? Skolos? Skolos? Skull. So continue exploring the Scar Nest. So we're going through this Scar, either whether this is a stronghold or just a mission. But up on our radar, there's like 14 red dots up there, and we're just going to use our ultimate on here. So it looks like during our ultimate phase that the rest of the UI just completely disappears, and we only have our ultimate bar, which is kind of interesting. But I mean, this is also a new environment that we haven't seen. It looks like a cave type structure where construction has gone on, whether it's a mining facility, whether people are just hiding out in these caves. The Scar are known as insect-like creatures, so I imagine they do say continue exploring the Scar nest, so they probably nested in this bunker. Whether it's made by the Scar or is made and left over by the Shapers, I don't know. But those Scars are going to die because there's a lot of Iron Man missiles coming out of this thing. So
tank missile.
Yeah, and then moving on, you can see the UI. UI's changed a bunch. Left bumper is the grenade. Right bumper, there's like some sort of fire ability, and then Y is going to be the melee. And it does show again that there's probably another weapon kind of like hidden, shadowed behind the main weapon on this thing. So, and I don't know if the what's the weapon on the wrist called? It's I don't know
wrist
if that actually
rocket shock mace,
because that doesn't look like it shows up at all on the UI.
I think that's the right bumper.
So right bumper, that's the little fire ability that it has. Okay, that makes sense then, because that's going to be one of those gear slots. It's not exactly a weapon slot; it's a gear slot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on.
You guys are like all about this. I like it. All right, moving on. So we are up and close and personal. This is a Scar Scout. We actually get a really good shot of it. Nice render. This looks like a cinematic. It doesn't look like it's in game unless I'm wrong. I'm probably not wrong, but it looks like the interesting interesting thing I thought about this scout is that it actually has 5 fingers. Before we kind of speculated that the scars were made up of a bunch of bugs based on something that Yarrow said that you were able to read, but it looks like maybe they are individual humanoids. I would think that if you have like a whole hive of people, of bugs inside one of these suits, it'd be pretty difficult to control. So I'm guessing it's just one humanoid.
It's all one hive mind. They can.
Oh, it's the hive. Where have we heard that before?
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of that hive, like that idea that the sky they're all connected and they're all just kind of drones. I'm not a huge fan of that in my science fantasy of all that I've read. But what do you guys think? Are you guys still on the train of they're all just a bunch of bugs like the Halo hunters controlling these things, or is it just one individual inside these suits?
Well, I don't think I ever thought it was more than one person, more than one thing inside of a suit. I thought it could be one thing in a suit that acted with the hive mentality that, you know, they're just fodder. There's a billion of them. I really hate that trope of there's a billion of them that you just have to fight and there's like no end to them.
As long as you have enough bullets, you'll win eventually.
Something like that. So I think of the battle in Age of Ultron when like there's a bunch of drones, but then you think to yourself, there's a finite amount of vibranium that he stole, so like there has to be a finite amount of robots to kill. But it always seemed like there were more robots, and it always happens in like the zombie movies. There's always mountains and mountains of zombies and mountains of ads, and that's always bugged me because it's just ad after ad after ad after ad. You know what I mean? So it's more bullet management than it is fighting technical skills.
Gotcha. Not a fan of that.
I'm not.
I want to say it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. That it might be just one body inside a suit, but the body might be animated by multiple bugs. I mean, it's the whole thing is that, you know, the way how they've been described so far, both by the devs and, you know, by other, well, like just even our interview with Mike Gamble, where he was saying that you can tell that the Scar are around because you see a bunch of insects crawling around in that location. You know, that makes a little bit more sense. It makes a little bit more sense if, you know, like they're basically like all going into, like a bunch of them are going into one body to move it. You know, they're humanoid mimics. So I'm still not entirely sure how it could work, but I think it might be like a body being animated by multiple insects.
Devin, do you have a stance? Are you taking a hard stance on this? Or like whatever, hit it in the face and move on?
No, I think it's, you know, whatever they decide is fine with me. So.
Okay. If it's good, it's good, is what you're saying.
If it's good, it's good.
It's good. It's good.
Really tired, ready to go home. So next shot we have the
I'm home
Interceptor
already.
looking at this.
We're on like 36 seconds though.
Yeah, we're on 36 seconds, but we've been talking for an hour. So come on,
We
guys.
might have to split this into two.
We might have to. This is how long? We broke down the 17-minute trailer. What did we do here?
Yeah, this one was only like 2 minutes long. So it was 2 minutes long. So.
Alrighty.
The Interceptor standing in front of this spinny, shiny column thing. This is when they start talking about the Anthem of Creation. No way that this is the Anthem of Creation, right?
Nope.
I mean, this is just kind of like, this has got to be another artifact.
It's a relic, artifact,
like a
echo.
relic that we have to silence.
Yep.
Something. I mean,
Something
because
to turn
the
off.
Anthem of Creation, it surrounds us. It binds us all together. Yeah, this has got to just be a relic.
Yep. Something we have to turn off. Something at the end of a mission.
It could be
Something.
It could be a power cord. There's a little thing up top. Looks like it's being powered by whatever this thing is. So
Yeah.
turn off the thing so the thing stops and the bugs stop coming and you're good to go. So,
Exactly.
moving on. You guys good?
I think
Good.
we're good.
I'm good, yeah.
Okay, then Devin threw in this picture of this Ursix. Why? I don't know.
I just like the feathers coming off of it. And it's, you know, it's got feathers. It's got a Ninja Turtle shell. It's got everything.
It'll look real good with that ray tracing.
It's got everything.
It's got everything. I think
Got
we found-
everything.
And
It's
I
got
think, I
everything.
mean, the coloring on this one, it looks really cool. I mean, it's a cool looking space bear. So I'm down with the space bear. All right, next thing. This is the one thing that I still have questions on. I can't get a good picture of this thing. The next thing we see, you see this interceptor flying through the air, doing some crazy ninja anime acrobatics, and it ground pounds onto this gray creature. It's like a humanoid creature. I have no idea what this is. I can't get.
It looks like it's wearing armor, right?
It.
So
You think it's wearing armor?
yeah, like when I zoomed in, and it looks
Zoom
like
in.
it looks like it's wearing armor to me right now. And like I put a couple shots in here where like you can see the boots and stuff, but
This is the upside down version of after their interceptor completely destroys its day. Yeah, I mean, could this just be a ragdoll while they're doing development?
Just to play with the physics.
Yeah, because I mean, it's really hard to make out any details on the thing. I mean, it happens so fast. It's not like in 4K. I don't even know if it's in 1080p anywhere where you can actually see it and zoom in on this thing. But it just seems like this is the first time. It looks like it's not in a suit at all. So is this like the first time we're seeing something out of the suit?
It's not like in a javelin or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the Scar, they have different like helmet and pieces on, but it's not like a javelin suit. But
right, but I mean, this thing has nothing on.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's a chest. They have a different kind of chest piece on, because you can see it's different. It's definitely different colors in the pants and stuff. And also, like the interceptor doesn't even hit it; it just gets blown away by the shockwave from when it slams the ground. So if you watch the video, like if you repeat it over and over, you can see that the interceptor goes directly like in front of it or to the left or right of it, whatever direction you want to say. It doesn't actually hit it. It just hits the ground, and that shockwave of flame and stuff goes out, and it flings it away.
So it had an AoE attack that was able to damage it.
Uh-huh.
Very cool. I don't know what this is. It's interesting. It looks weird. It makes a weird sound when you kill it. But man, do you see the foliage all around this thing? That is some pretty fantastic foliage. Well done. All right, yeah, you can tell that there's a little bit of armor in there. This next shot that you got of it, but I don't know what this thing is. I bet it's gonna be nothing. All right, next thing we go to the shot of I don't even remember what the name of this is. We know she's Corvus, and I think they said a name, and it's a girl's name too. But
it's a girl's name too.
And it's a girl's name too.
JD, you're gonna have to help me out with this one. Do you remember the name of Corvus agent? Red suit coat, also does not have anything on her head.
You know what? I actually do. I am pretty sure it's our good friend Terry Jefford.
Okay, we're gonna move on. All right, then we got. We'll kind of cut these things a little bit shorter because we've got a lot of cool environments that we're flying through. We're seeing different colors on all of our javelins. The Ranger is showing green, and then we go back to this Corvus agent. And if there's one thing that you want to say to me that gets me to not want to know you, it's tell me that you're someone that I want to know, right? And that's the line that this person delivers to us during the storyline.
So, yeah. I put this here for a couple reasons, right?
Okay.
So, look at that Sentinel's left hand. Look at the wrist.
It's a robot.
Yeah, I'm like, where does the hand go? Right? So I'm like, is the hand done before? Is like the hand somewhere in the forearm there?
In the forearm?
And it's controlling it? Because obviously it's much larger than the person that's in there. So their arms are not going to be able to bend in the same spots. And I'm like, okay, where does it go? And I saw that because you can definitely see the hinge and crap there. And it's definitely not a person's wrist. So
yeah, this is interesting because I always assume that, like, we know that the legs go to that first or to whatever joint that they have down there, but I always assume that the hands came all the way through into gloves. But you're right, in this picture this is obviously not connected at all except by a pin.
Yeah. And then so if you look in the back above the Sentinel's hand there's another Sentinel and a person standing like when I kind of zoomed in, it looked like there's a person there just standing with them. They have the same colors as the Sentinels, and I was like, "Is this like?"
On it?
Yeah, it's like, is this a? Well, it's not. It's not another javelin. It's just like when I zoomed in, it was just another person.
Right, but the person has a cape on.
Yeah, they have like some kind of tunic or whatever on, And I was like, is this maybe they're not in a javelin suit yet for the Sentinels, but they're part of the Sentinels? Maybe they have to graduate to become full-fledged Sentinel to be able to be in that javelin.
It's the Sentinel internship?
Yeah, they're in training. Like, you must stand guard out here with me without the javelin to protect you.
I mean, someone's got to give them water, right? Yeah, someone's got to give them water. Go grab them some water. It's like the people that were dressed up as the javelins at EA Play. Someone had to bring those guys water.
Better bring a straw in there.
Yeah. But yeah,
So-
that's interesting. I didn't even think about the hands, because then if your hands aren't actually connected to the hands, what are they controlling inside of that forearm piece?
Yeah.
Where you have
Gloves.
that kind of level of control.
Gloves that are
Well, I'm like,
that are what
okay,
you call it,
how
mocap.
much space is in there? Because like the biceps are huge. And it's like, okay,
Mine are.
It's like your arm moving around in there. What's going on? And so I just thought that was interesting when I was watching it. I was like, obviously,
I
the
think
hands
that's
aren't through
that.
there.
I think that's that science fantasy part that we're not supposed to think too much about.
Yeah, which is
No,
fine
not-
for me. I don't care.
Not thinking about it, but okay. And then the last thing, this person way over here on the left, what the crap are they wearing on their head?
It's like
This person has like a ski mask, like painted on.
honestly, right now it looks like a little turtle head.
It
When I'm
does.
looking at it.
Like, what
It's
is
cosplay.
going on?
Hey
What
guys,
is
I
going on?
found this. I found this turtle shell out in the wild. Where should I put it? On your head. I like it.
Imagine what the turtle like. What the turtles are like here on this planet. Like they're probably tall, bipedal, and love pizza.
Probably.
All right, moving on.
So I just did another one that had a little bit clearer image, and you can kind of see that helmet again. And then if you zoom in, like on my screen, I'll show the video. I'll zoom in and move up here. You can see that person
I'm
standing in the
in.
back.
I'm all the way zoomed
Wearing
in.
who just got back from the gym because he's wearing his basketball shorts and his cutoff T-shirt.
He
No,
really
it's
is.
it's not shorts. It's like a tunic,
It's like a toga kind of.
No, he just got back from the gym.
No.
He was balling it up.
Looks like he's got a knee brace on, probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. His shirt
Definitely got
says.
that guy.
Years of having his knees bent
Yeah.
all weird like that in the javelins, really takes its toll.
It really
I mean,
was.
his arms look long enough to go down in that the arm placements, but I don't know.
All right, moving on. Whoa, I am going the wrong way here. Moving on. You included this shot.
I just like the way it looked. It looked pretty good.
Yes.
That's a good looking
Kind of
shot.
ominous that javelin on a pike.
That's another sentinel that couldn't handle, going out into the real world. They're like, we stay inside Fort Tarsus, keep the law here with the people without javelin suits and crazy monsters.
Or it's Devon the first time he dies.
I'm like, oh, they got me.
All right, then we get the storm flying. The storm is going to go fly over and pick up a treasure chest. And out of this treasure chest, there are 3 little... What do you think they're going to call these things? Just pickups, drops? They're not going to call them engrams.
Diamond pickups. I don't know.
Haven't they used a word for this before?
No, I don't think so. Not that
Loot?
I know of. Yeah, they're just call it loot or gear drops.
Yeah.
Weird crystal things. And then we get this sweet picture of this javelin with its arm. A lot of people have been speculating that these circle things are the seals that they talked about on the website. I don't think they're seals. That seems a little too easy to be like, oh, this mechanical thing that we're going to put on your shoulder is a seal. I think it's more like mind Jedi type deal that has to do with the telekinetic properties of a cipher. So I could be wrong, but it would seem weird that, is every piece of storm gear going to have, all these seals on it? Because that would be kind of redundant. The concept art shows that it isn't. There's a bunch of different looking concept art for a storm arm that shows that they don't have these. So, I mean, I think they look cool. They're animated. They've got little lightning tendrils that come off of these things, so I'm excited for them. But this is also the first time we're seeing a different chest piece for the storm. So we haven't seen a lot of different gear for a lot of the javelins, but this is one of those cases where there is. So, and they open this giant box, and there's... Who puts these boxes out here? I mean, that's a giant box.
It looks like it has a leather strap. Or
It does,
metal.
huh? Right there.
It wasn't even locked. There better not have been anything good in there.
Yeah, it's all
So-
whites. It's not good. It's fine.
It's
Yeah,
all
it's-
white.
All right, and then we got a picture of Faye. We're gonna go through these. We've seen Faye. We've seen this with the player looking over the fort. If there's something you guys want to talk about, you guys go ahead and stop me. We saw this screen at the PAX panel. There's 2 cool statues of rangers outside guarding something. And then we get the picture of the marketplace where we see the back of Bryn.
And the player again.
We see the player, probably one of the... I think they said that the player is only going to be able to change, like, the heads of the player. So
yeah,
body
you can choose multiple types of heads. Yeah.
But there'll be different types of heads, so...
Like 2 heads?
I don't know. And then we got... So then we have a picture of Owen and a cipher chair. Do you guys think this is in the fort, or is this in one of that community college where they learn how to be ciphers? Because there's quite a few chairs here. So...
It's a training center.
It might be. Just because there's multiple chairs, like, kind of right next to each other. Maybe it's where he's learning how to be a cipher.
Yeah. And I'm guessing every javelin pilot gets a cipher, or maybe just those that can afford it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, then we've got a picture of, as we go through these, we're almost done, I promise. We got plenty of time. I mean, you guys have got nothing to do, right? We don't have work in the morning. Do you? We do have work in the morning? All right. We'll finish up here really quick. You have a picture of a ranger javelin in the background. It looks like kind of a marketplace. Do you guys think we are going to have places where you can buy javelins? I mean, they haven't really talked a lot about buying.
Maybe not a full set, but maybe gear. Maybe like black market gear.
There's there you can buy gear. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
good job, Devon. That was a great sentence.
I'm tired.
They're doing great. And then then we have images of a bar. There's a CD underground that we have.
So so go back one image, Steve.
Uh-huh.
So those of you who can't see this, who are listening only, just think of Mos Eisley, because that's kind of the image that goes in my head. You know, do 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 do.
Maybe they've never watched that. Can you describe it a different way?
Moving on.
All right, moving on. We are on a mission. We are following a Colossus, and we are on a mission. We are supposed to rescue Sentinels.
Start the countdown.
If the Sentinels are supposed to be in the fort, what on earth are they doing out here? I mean,
for the same reason that you have to do anything in games, you got to go do it to be a hero, and we're gonna be the hero in our epic.
Did you notice this Colossus is different? Skills.
Yes, except that you can't.
It's on fire.
See a lot of it because of the giant cannon that it has on there. I know the colors are different. The shoulders are the same as the red one though. They've got the bull hooks on there.
Mm-hmm.
So you really can't see a lot of it other than the color's different.
It is pretty cool.
It is
pretty cool. Huh, weird. So you're supposed to rescue a couple Sentinels here. There's 4 that you're supposed to rescue. I say just let them die if they're going to go out there. I mean, they get
wow, Steve. You're nice, man.
Right. Okay, moving on. This is one of the cool things that we have. We show I'm going to guess this is kind of like a puzzle movement type thing where there are 3 beams of energy coming at us. It looks like you probably have to dodge them. If not, you probably will die if you get hit by one of these beams. It's like,
javelin down.
Yeah, it'll shut you down and you'll die. So the mission on this is, the mission is called Early Warnings. Your objective is to prevent a cataclysm event. That sounds important. And we're supposed to locate a paper anomaly. So, preventing a cataclysm event, that sounds like something that you should probably do. You probably fail at this mission, something bad's probably going to happen. And this is a huge tunnel. I mean, this is a huge, giant-looking shaper structure that's either underground, just right above ground. It looks like there's water underneath us. So
do you think that could be inside one of the extension cords?
Inside the extension cord? No, I don't think it'd be inside the extension cord. Not with all the water underneath running around it. But
maybe it's not water. Maybe it's plasma.
One of the giant extension cords probably powers this place, and you have to shut it down.
Maybe.
But, I mean, this could even be the place where that shaper relic is actually located. Because you see there's like, a bright
glowing at the end, yeah. The light at the end of the tunnel, as it were.
As it were. And then we get a cool shot of the Earth-6 being struck by lightning from the storm. This is not the storm's ultimate, which is kind of interesting because this is like one mega lightning.
Mega ultimate?
Yeah. So this isn't the ultimate of the storm. We don't know what that is going to be. Some people have speculated it's supposed to be really loud based on a couple of things that they took off of their website, but we haven't seen that yet. And at the end, we get this major fight with this Earth-6 with all 4 of our javelins shooting at it, trying to hit it with a shock mace.
They have matching equipment, gear, skins. If you're looking through all of them, the Ranger they all have the like
The same
steampunk
kind of coloring.
looking. Yeah, it's like the same coloring.
It's like a white
not-
and green color.
It's not
scheme.
Legion of Dawn, is it?
No, this is not the Legion of Dawn set.
Okay.
But yeah, they all match. You got to make yourselves match. So we got some pretty cool images here. I suggest.
I wonder if it's
people
a clan
go in,
thing.
walk through this.
Because they said that you'd be able to form clans, right?
Yes, they
clans
have,
or guilds.
So guilds, yeah. So maybe it's guild armor. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that is the 2 minutes that we took spending a lot of time talking about.
A lot of time.
There's still a lot more to
Skipped
unpack.
over some of the important things here at the very end, Steven.
Oh, what did I skip over? Please.
So,
See those rocks right there?
no.
See, the funny thing
So if
about
you're
those bricks is that they came from the original Fortress of Dawn. Now we know this because Helena was actually married to a stonemason. Now, if you go back into the Freelancer Cortex that was put out, you'll find out that her husband's name was George, which is kind of odd. George kind of struggled at the beginning, and Helen was like, well, if we're going to be together, you're going to have to get your act together. He says, okay, I'll be a stonemason. You be the leader of the free people. And they said, we'll make it work. And so George was like, I'm a stonemason.
Anyways, so when I'm looking at these images, when the Ranger throws that grenade right at the Ursics, you can see that the lightning in that picture starts before the grenade actually hits, and that's because the storm is down below. Doing the lightning, so a lot of people were like, "Oh, is that a lightning grenade / explosion?" Which it's not, because it still keeps floating and it has not hit it before the lightning has even started. Again, I showed the effects.
It would be nice if they turned their damage numbers back on so we could see that that was generating a combo, but
People
they turned them
complain.
all off for some reason. I don't understand why they turned off the coolest part of this game, showing combo
People
up
complain.
everywhere.
So then I have another image. I've got it up here on my screen for the YouTube viewers here. But you have the Ranger getting ready to use, his baton or whatever they're calling it. I forget.
Shock mace.
That's
Shock
the one. And you also have another close-up of the Storm's arm. And then I liked the effects on the Storm because it's getting ready to do like a ice effect. And so you can see like it's freezing up that side of his javelin as you're going through. And then, so you can see that. That's pretty sweet looking. And then again, I just showed a close-up of that armor. So
That's cool.
that's what I wanted to talk about.
Well, I'm glad you did because that is a lot of cool stuff that we talked about.
And
Guys,
we're not
there's
even
one
done.
No, we're not. I want to be done so bad. There's one more thing. There's one more thing that we wanted to show off. So we reached out to Lazare. I call him Lasers because I don't know how to speak right. So Lazare has been putting out a lot of great fan art for Anthem. Been doing a lot of the promotional style art that we have seen. The posters of each javelin, posters of Helena Tarsus, posters of the Dominion, and we reached out and Lazare did a promotional or a what's it called?
Propaganda poster.
Yeah, there you go, a propaganda poster for the Freelancer Codex. And Mike, because this is kind of like you are the impetus of our whole mascot here. I want you
My
to give-
brainchild.
Yeah. So break us down this whole story of our wooden javelin here.
So it was pretty awesome getting down to sit with him. Devon and JD and I were able to sit down with Lazare a few days ago and chat with him. Stephen wasn't able to make it. And so we go through and we talked about kind of the way that this came about and the reason that we chose a wooden javelin and all the good stuff there. And I think we're tacking that on to the end of our episode right tonight, Steve. We're gonna throw that on because that explanation is in there, so I don't want to bore you and double up anything. But that explanation on how that came about is in that interview, and so we'll throw it up here, and you'll be able to figure out. Those of you who have followed us from the beginning kind of know where it came from, but for those who have picked up on us, have a listen, and you'll understand why we joke about the wooden javelin and give each other grief about the wooden javelin, and kind of are really serious about our wooden javelin. So, but major thanks to Lazare for being able to do this for us. again, we cannot say enough how cool we think his artwork is. All done on an iPad. You'll find out when you get to talk to him. So that's all done on an iPad. So it's great
Super
stuff.
nice guy too.
Yeah, it's great stuff. He's a funny guy too. We're gonna have him back on because he's pretty funny.
All right, guys. This has been a long episode 54 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Stay tuned at the end of our outro so you can hear that interview with Lazare. But for Steve, Mike, Devon, and JD, there's a Shaperstorm on the horizon. We'll see you on the other side.
Peace.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter at Freelancer Codex, on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or through email at freelancercodex@gmail.com. Join the Discord through the link provided at freelancercodex.com. Our show will always be free, but if you'd like to send some support, you may do so at patreon.com/freelancercodex. Our individual Twitter handles are at Steven Lamson, at mlamson25, at Neverfear, and at JD the Joke Dealer. Freelancers, it's time to get to work.
Well, freelancers, welcome into this very special segment that we've got for you right now. We'll excuse Steve. He was not able to join us for this, but we are joined with a very special guest. Discord user Legion of Potatoes, Lazare, welcome in. Welcome in. It's a pleasure to have you.
Here, thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now we're going to get to the big piece of news that we have coming up here in a second. But first, what we want to do is, Lazare, give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, your connections to BioWare and the games and how you first got into Anthem and what you do now. So kind of a mouthful, but just kind of let us know who you are.
Hey, well, my connections with BioWare run deep, man. So, yeah, I'm Lazare. I'm an artist from Georgia, and I first got into BioWare games back in, I believe it was 2007 when Mass Effect first came out. I think it was just an Xbox, though. I played it, I think, at a friend's house, got hooked. Then I think it hit PC a year later. I think I'm remembering this right. Yeah. And that was it. Yeah, that was it. That was it for me. I got sucked in the hole. Mass Effect was actually the first game I played from BioWare. Then I went back to KOTOR from there. Then I jumped back to Dragon Age, did everything, Inquisition, all the works. And yeah, it's one of the most influential things that happened to me in gaming. And that then started, of course, influencing I made. That also kind of started in parallel with my obsession with BioWare, so that's why my portfolio is mostly just Mass Effect fan art.
Excellent.
Right on.
That is so cool.
Was there any BioWare game that you don't like? You can tell the truth. It's fine. You're with friends.
BioWare. Well, the thing about BioWare games is they're so different from one another. So there's stuff I maybe don't like from one game, but overall, I mean, they're all great. I haven't had a bad apple yet. I'd tell you if I had one.
The diplomatic answer.
Yeah. I haven't played the what's that? The Star Wars MMO they made, the Old Republic, I think.
Okay.
Right.
But that's just because I'm not into MMOs. But I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's good for what it is.
Awesome. And your fan art has been blowing up. We got a taste of it, and it is just some amazing stuff. And so tell us then why Anthem? Why Anthem? Is it because your BioWare ties? Is it because of what the game shows and the possibilities? Like what is it that is drawing you to Anthem?
So it's parts the BioWare ties for sure, because you know what's coming, right?
Right.
It's gonna be a world that's up to their standards of storytelling, etc., etc. It's part also the aesthetic, what they're showing, the visual impact of it all, and it's also part why I'm personally invested in it. And I talked about this a little bit with William from Your Anthem. is because it reminds me of an old game I really liked, but not really liked, but I thought could be great. It was called Dark Void. I don't know if you guys have played it, but it had this really interesting flight gameplay, and I really love the flight gameplay. I find it really cool. They're gonna do it justice here, and that kind of all those things kind of coalesce and make me excited. And then I turn on my iPad and start drawing, and stuff happens. Apparently,
cool.
people like it.
You know what? When I can't draw a straight line without the use of a ruler and a protractor and a compass and a motion stabilizing desk and stuff, then yeah, the stuff, it blows me away that people are so talented with stuff like a pencil. Devon's laughing because he knows me and he knows that I really can't do much. And so people who can, I'm just in awe of. And so it's amazing. The stuff that we've seen has been amazing. And I'm glad that you brought up this idea of flight, because that's one of the things I've been thinking about recently, and how versatile the world is going to be just by adding that x-axis. Maybe it's the y-axis, the z-axis. What axis is it when you go up?
I think it's Y, but I could be wrong.
If you're in 3D modeling software, it's Z, or if you're in different... I mean, it just depends on what
Anyway, so adding that level of verticality, we'll just use that word. That level of verticality, it's going to be awesome in this game, and that's probably one of the things that I'm most excited for because we haven't seen it yet, and so the possibilities kind of excite me. Are you guys nervous about it at all, about the flight and what it could mean?
No, I'm not.
No, you're not nervous by getting thrown down by that ceiling?
No, I don't think it's going to throw you down. When you get to the top, it's just going to be turbulence, and it's going to let you know, okay, you've reached the limit. Time to
get back down.
Come back down.
I mean, I don't think we've really seen a lot of instances of it yet, but I am a little curious as to what happens when you fly into something, because we've seen them mostly, you land. I know we see them land on the ground, and we usually see them land on the ground. But we haven't really seen what happens if they fly head on into a tree or into a cliff or whatever, and you would assume that you crash. So I'm just wondering how that, I'm curious as to how that works.
It's gonna be an amazing learning curve once we all jump in with our first ranger and okay, let's fly, and then we explode 2 seconds later.
Fly into that tree as a group.
Exactly.
Let's all see how this works.
We'll definitely have to make a flying blooper video from all of our flying fails. It'll be fun.
Georgia of the Anthem.
Exactly.
I told you, he just breaks out in a song. They don't always make sense. They don't always fit. But you know what? He's our JD. He's our JD, and we'll take him.
So I think you guys love him for that. Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, Lazare, what kind of software do you use? When you're making your art.
So you would assume that I'm Photoshop, Illustrator Pro or something, but I really don't know squat about those things. I started drawing on an iPad, and I'm still there because it kind of gets the job done. Wow. I use software like Sketch Club, Procreate, Adobe Draw. I also use Affinity. People who are aware of mobile art will probably understand this, but it's not like a renowned suite of high-end software. I just kind of learned something on my own and stuck with it, and that's where I am.
Very nice. Yeah, no,
I think that's so cool.
Several of my friends that draw on iPads, they don't use expensive software, and it's just kind of amazing to me. So I just wanted to see what you used. So
the main one I use, Sketch Club. I think it's $6 or $7. That's it. You download it. It has its own social feed, feedback tools. It's so much stuff. I'm not plugging it, by the way. I'm not getting paid by it.
Sponsored video.
Right?
Sponsored video.
Right.
No, that's cool. I know I've talked to other people, and it's just interesting to find out what people use to make their art, and because there is those options of buying the most expensive stuff or using different programs, and whatever you learn on. Oftentimes I've found, I used to do a lot of digital art with 3D modeling and stuff where I started using a program and I just kept using that same program even though other people were using the most expensive, 3ds Max, those type of stuff. And I was like, well, I don't use that because I didn't learn on that. So,
right. Mm, cool.
But plus, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to say, plus it's kind of like still at a hobby stage for me because I have a day job which is sort of unrelated to art, so that allows me to kind of explore it at my own pace, not get the professional expectations and standards and such. So yeah, for sure.
For sure. Well, so we're gonna go ahead and do this now because I'm excited to get this out. So this is the moment that we've all been waiting for. This is a world premiere for the Freelancer Codex. This is some art that Lazare has done for us, and for those of us who may have been following the show for a while, you will understand this hopefully almost immediately because of something that happened in episode. It was early on, episode 1, 2, 3, and so hopefully it'll all make sense. And this is. I mean, it's amazing. Like I'm seeing phone covers and phone lock screens and all kinds of cool stuff. Big old poster behind me. So it's gonna be awesome. So Devon, without further ado,
Shoot, I already
will you
put it
go
up there
ahead and?
before you even finished.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! You jumped the gun. So this is it. This is it. This is the artwork that Lazare has done for our Freelancer Codex, and it's just. Like I said, if you follow the show, you'll know exactly what it is and why we think it's so cool because it's a wooden javelin. It's a wooden javelin.
So
man, it's.
I knew it was coming.
We'll give them the
there it
background
is.
story. So I put it up on my screen because I'm recording it. Obviously, they can't see it on the video unless you guys are looking at it. But so Mike, we had talked about this, and where it came from was we were talking about shaders and skins for javelins, and we're just talking about javelins in general. And Mike's like. Just brought up a wooden javelin just out of nowhere. And so we've been talking about that wooden javelin for a long time. And,
oh, come on. We all know where it comes from because when you first start in a game, they give you like level -2 gear. And
ghetto gear.
You do.
Oh, yeah.
You get ghetto gear that you keep for 5 minutes until you find something new. Oh, look, your ghost has found you a gun. Yeah, he found us a gun. Anyway, so I postulated that it was going to be a wooden javelin because you always start with something kind of small, and so
I think that's genius. Yeah.
Ben Irving thought that was hilarious. He's like, "What? What?"
Yeah,
Definitely correct. Like in the
man.
game.
yeah.
Something to like.
You don't keep it for very long because you find something else in the wild, and then you're like, okay.
Maybe you don't keep it very long because it like burns up when you engage the thrusters.
There was that.
Catch on fire. When
There was that too. There was
you
that.
could get it properly treated,
Yeah.
That's
right.
stuff-
It's got to be
Modern
burnt.
times.
It's
modern
waterproof.
times, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
that it would be cool, if they had a wooden javelin skin in the game. We talked to Jonathan Warner also when we went to EA Play. He thought it was
Yep.
hilarious. And
He did.
That's cool.
He didn't make me feel dumb at all. It was good. But wasn't it Mike Gamble that said like no or something? Someone told me straight out no that it wasn't going to be there. feel-
Mark Dara likes his short cropped answer, so
There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, this is awesome, Lazare. This is totally cool, and we're going to geek out about this for a while. But I mean, while we got you
Really-
here,
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's awesome. So
what
You're
are
working on this.
what are your expectations for Anthem? Besides, I mean, you talked a little bit about the flying and stuff, but what is it that you're most looking forward to when Anthem comes out?
I'm gonna like piggyback a little bit on the flying stuff, and you guys talked about how we haven't really seen it yet. I want to know how the exploration works as like as a gameplay moment to moment gameplay, because it's unclear at this point how much the verticality will play into it, how about the what do they call it, the free play, right, when you can go out and explore on your own, like how loaded with content that will be, maybe not story content, but like what type of side missions we'll have, or whatever Anthem's alternative to side missions are, because as far as I'm aware, we won't have any NPCs out there, outside of Tarsus. So it's interesting how they're gonna execute that, because I'm not a big online game guy. I don't really play looter shooters, but again, they talk about maybe getting single player people to try this, and I'm going to be one of those people. I'm going to try. I'll see where it takes me. Maybe I'm made for co-op games. I don't know. I'm
Right?
overall interested in how it's like. I still don't have a good enough understanding of the core gameplay loop. Like
Right.
what is that? So
Well, and like
I
you
want to
said,
understand that.
Yeah, like you said, everything we have seen has been on the ground fighting, and we've seen flying when you get to those on the ground battles, but we haven't seen a lot of okay, now you can fly through this and get this chest. Maybe you can fly through here and get this achievement. I could see maybe, I don't know what I could see. I guess you kind of liken the flying to sparrows, maybe as a means of getting from place to place in Destiny, and so maybe there's. Maybe they'll have a flying event like they had a sparrow racing event. I don't know, but it's a good point. What is the flying going to have in relationship to story, and how does it all fit in, or is it just getting from point to point?
I think it's gonna be more than point to point. But I mean, they did say so when we were playing, like the story, there is some exploration, but they also kind of, kind of point you in the right direction.
Filter you, yeah.
Whereas they want you to do the free roam. They built that entire gameplay mode where you can go and explore the entire world and go find all the lore and all the materials you need for crafting. You can find, boxes with, treasure or whatever they want to call it.
Right, whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting because for people who want to find all that stuff, to me it seems like they're kind of making it where it's more advantageous to play in free roam and not really focus on the story missions. Or maybe you play through all the story missions and then it's like, okay, now I need to go and do all this stuff while I'm waiting for my friends to get on before we can do other game content. I don't know. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, we like I said, this was going to be a short kind of art reveal, and we appreciate you being on. And I think, unless anybody's got anything else,
well, we can have him plug his stuff. We'll put all your links.
Absolutely.
Put your links up there. If people don't know about you, then they haven't been looking on the internet. So
right, right.
Thank you.
Go ahead and plug all your information and where people can find you.
Oh,
yeah.
JD, you had something.
I was just going to ask. We asked this of every guest. But we didn't ask you yet. Lazare, what javelin do you plan to main?
Oh, the main question, the big one.
The big question.
The big one.
The main question, if you will.
Oh, I like the ranger. I like the jack of all trades. I'm kind of the boring guy, I like to make.
Oh, that's not boring. That's not boring.
That's Mike's number one.
That's Mike, and we're not boring, Lazare.
I would never insinuate that you. I'm talking about me here.
It's all right.
Jack of all trades approach in RPGs, and that's sort of what I'm seeing with Ranger, right? But I gotta say, the exactly 3 seconds of Interceptor gameplay, pretty good. Good. It was less than 3 seconds.
You're like, yes, I'm gonna do that. I'm hooked. It took me 3 seconds. Once you go Interceptor, you never go back. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's going to be the interesting thing, right? With the 4 javelins, you want to play as the one. They say it's going to be more, the loot's going to be more tailored to the javelin you're playing, but you can still get loot for your other javelins. So it'll be interesting how much we got to trade out javelins to really kind of level them up and get experience with them. So
yeah.
And again, it's just so incredible that all the javelins have some level of appeal. Like, it's hard. Well, I mean, the whole thing is that, like, you're not, like, I haven't seen a lot of people come on and just say, like, specifically, hands down, they're only going to do one. Like, Mike Gamble was like, oh, I like the Storm, but I also like the other one, Ben Irving, he was kind of like between a couple of them. I know I'm between a couple of them. I know you're pretty hardcore Ranger, Mike, but you know.
See that? That's my
looks
art
great.
level. That's the stuff like shapes. I didn't even do that. I took that from Anthem itself. Like that's my extent.
Man.
I told you,
Stellar
man.
work still. Yeah.
Man, we appreciate
That's
you
good.
saying that. Well, I appreciate you saying that. See, guys, you can be nice to me. It's fine. See, people who never even met me before can be nice to me. It's cool.
That's because they've never met you.
Oh, thanks, Devon. Thanks, Devon. I appreciate you,
I
man.
guess all
I
all my
appreciate you.
compliments over the last year mean nothing.
Never.
All right, so before we got distracted. and
Sorry,
forgot the
sorry, we
question,
got sidetracked.
now Lazarus can tell us where we can find him before we forget.
So Grimrod's on Twitter. That's my handle, and that can take you everywhere. So, I'm still making Anthem fan art. I have some projects kind of on the horizon. So, and I do commissions also, as you can see here. And I really, really enjoyed working on this one. By the way, wanted to say that
thank you.
somewhere, but yeah, I love the concept because I love the propaganda. I love that stuff. Ultimate.
I don't think
It's
this is the
wonderful.
last we've seen of Lazare. We might have to commission some more art, maybe near the launch
Or just have them
Yeah.
back in general.
so.
It would either. This is a blast. Thanks for having me again.
Hey, anytime. We appreciate you. We appreciate you coming on and talking with a bunch of nerds. We're just a bunch of nerds. One of them is dissolving into his background, and
Hey,
cool.
hey, I'm just a bunch of nerds under a trench coat. That's just who I am.
oh, very cool. Very cool. Well, guys, like we said, unless there's anything else that we want to bring up, talk about, we haven't really heard anything from since our last recording. Nothing has jumped out new, and so like I said, there might be a Shaper Storm coming up. We'll see you on the other side.
See you on the other side.
Bye-bye.
Excellent.
All right, let's try this out.
Well,
It's an awesome
bed
shot of your
still
bed,
shows up.
JD. It's an awesome shot of your bed, man. I'm glad it's made.
There we go. But now we can't hear you talk if you're not on push to talk, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I have it on push to talk. So
Alrighty.
there we are.
All right, everybody take your deep breath, do your coughs, do your scratches if you need to. We're going to get going.
Actually, just give me 1 second real quick. I'll be right back.
As he slowly
Oh,
disappears.
Slowly disappeared. So, Lazare, would I be correct in assuming that you're not in the States?
I am from the Georgia, which is situated in Eastern Europe.
Oh, so not the Georgia that's north of Florida.
Nope. Only mistaken, but no.
Oh, man. Well, cool. Well, cool. So I don't know if this is true for you, Devon, but Lazare, you're the first person I've ever talked to from across the seas.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, he's the first person I've ever talked to from across the seas. I don't have had too much conversation with too many people in Europe.
Oh God, there's a lot riding on Miz in there.
Europe,
No way, man.
The fate
You're
of,
setting the bar.
of,
You're setting the
Europe
bar.
and Mike's relationship all is going to be based on
right.
you. Really?
No, it's good. It's all
you
good.
ever talked to anybody from overseas? Ever?
I don't know anybody from overseas. I don't get out much.
Is
Devon.
on.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. Whoa, that's loud.
Hello?
I can hear you. Stop yelling at me.
Can you hear me, Steven?
Yes, I can.
Okay, there's no echo.